Alright, so the first thing I'm going to show you guys how to do, or what to do for turning this in, is just how to take your painting off the board. It's not as simple as you think, and this is going to be probably a little hard to show on the video, but I'm going to do my best to try to do this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually turn this painting upside down, or kind of over to the back. So those of you who know that you're going to be taking your paper off the board today, you can go ahead and do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of start peeling off the tape just off the back. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Again, this is going to be hard for me to show you guys all of this because just can't see the whole painting because it's so big. And then I'm going to get the bottom here. Now, do not start peeling off the tape off the front. There is an art to it. No pun intended. But there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. And trust me, the wrong way, there's no way to fix it if you do it the wrong way. Alright, so I've got it all kind of started on the back, so I'm going to flip this back. Now, when you do this, I'm going to turn this painting this way, put it upside down. So when you do this, I'm going to start right here with this, I'll start with right here. So when you do this, the worst thing you could do is actually just pull this straight up like this. You do not want to pull it straight up, because if you do that, chances of you kind of ripping your painting are pretty good, okay? So when you take this off, you guys notice I'm keeping the tape, I'm like actually got it on the board, so it's on the board like this. I'm not taking it straight up. Put it on the board like this, and I'm going to take it off at an angle. You see that? So I'm pulling it off to the side, not straight up, off to the side. I'm keeping it low to the board. So this is how you peel it off, okay? You probably will find, you can see here that some of the paper is pulling up on the tape. That's fine. This is the border. I just don't want to rip this, okay? So I'm just going to continue to slowly peel this off at an angle, out to the side. And you're just going to literally do this one piece at a time, okay? So those of you who know that you're taking your painting off your board today, you guys can go ahead and start taking that off, just like the way I showed you. I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So after you get your painting off of the watercolor board, you guys can put the watercolor boards, stack them back over with the rest of them. As for those of you who are keeping your painting on your board, you're just going to leave it on there until you're ready to actually attach it to the black paper. So now I'm going to show you guys how to deal with the black paper, okay? You guys need to have a ruler, okay? And you guys are going to be using a regular pencil. I'm actually going to be using a white color pencil just so that way the marks I'm going to make on the black paper show up and you can see them on the screen. Otherwise, you're not going to see them very well. So everybody should have just a regular old pencil, or if you need to, you can grab a 4H pencil from the back of the room if you need it. So these rulers, I want to kind of give you guys a little lesson in the rulers first. So if you notice, I got two different rulers here. So for a lot of you guys, you probably have these clear acrylic rulers. So one of the things I want you to take note of, if you notice, is that the measurements do not start at the end of the ruler. They start right here where it says 0. You need to make sure that you are aware of that and observe that, because if you don't, you're going to kind of mess up these next few steps, okay? Now, I'm going to be using a metal ruler just because it's easier to see on these videos. On the metal rulers, if you happen to have one of those, the measurements do start at the very end of, or the edge of the ruler. But again, the acrylics, the measurements start where it says 0. Alright, so make sure that you notice that and you kind of keep that in mind, okay? So, I'm going to zoom out here. This white piece of paper I have here is going to represent my fake painting, okay? And then we're going to be mounting these onto black paper, okay? It's kind of hard to see here. Might actually, I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so, I'm going to go ahead and put the sort of white paper that represents the painting off to the side. And what I'm going to do, okay, now make sure that you have the right type of black paper. So if your painting is vertical, you have the black paper that's cut for a vertical project. If you have a horizontal project, you have the black paper that's cut for the horizontal project. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of zoom in. I'm up here at the top of my paper. I'm going to zoom in here. And I'm just going to very simply measure 1 inch from the very top of my paper. Now again, I'm going to be making my marks for my measurements with a white color pencil so you can see them. You should be using a regular pencil or a 4H pencil. So again, I'm just right up here at the top of my black paper. It doesn't matter if your project is vertical or horizontal. And I just measured 1 inch from the top, make a mark. Everybody should be doing this step, regardless if you took your painting off the board or not. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler. Now I'm going to put it like this on my paper. Again, I'm still up here at the top, and now I've put my my ruler horizontal, and I'm essentially going to measure 1 inch off of the left side here, and I'm going to make a mark right there at the 1 inch mark. So measure 1 mark from the left side, make a mark. Again, you should be doing this with regular pencil or end pencil. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Okay? So I'm going over here to the right side. I am going to measure 1 inch off the right side, make a mark. So now, when everything is said and done, and this is a little hard for you guys to see, I don't think I can show you all of it. You can see I've got a mark. Where am I? My focusing is having problems. That's a little bit better. So I have a mark 1 inch from the right side, I have a mark 1 inch from the top, and I have a mark 1 inch from the left. Okay? See? And then of course I've got, all of this paper that I haven't measured out. So what I want you guys to do, I want you to get to that point where you got those. I'm going to actually do a vertical and a horizontal just so you can see it. So I'm going to do this again. So now this is the paper for the horizontal. Need more height on my... Here we go. Gotta get creative with this thing. It's a little bit taller. Still not as much. There we go. This is hard. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this again. So now I'm on the horizontal black paper. I'm at the top. I'm just going to measure 1 inch from the top, 1 inch from the left side, and 1 inch from the right. Okay, so there you go, okay? So get those marks. I'm going to come around and check, and then I'll show you guys how to attach the painting. Alright, next step is actually attaching the project to the black paper. Now, here's the thing. Normally, with like drawings and stuff, we will use rubber cement and actually glue the drawing to the black paper. But because this is watercolor paper and it's not perfectly flat, we are going to actually be using masking tape. And you guys should all have masking tape at your tables, okay? So, what we're going to do, and again, this is for those of you that have already taken your painting off of the board. So if your painting is on the board, you will not be doing this step. So what you're going to do is just take a little piece of tape here and you're going to make rolls. So I've got the sticky side on the outside and I'm just going to roll it so that the two ends stick together. And you're just going to put, I would say, a roll of tape in each corner. And in the middle of each sort of edge. There's no need to put any tape in the very middle of the painting. We could rubber cement these, but I just think it would just I don't know, you'd have to use quite a lot of rubber cement on the back to really make it sort of stick. And I think that would just kind of, I don't know, mess up the painting. So masking tape works pretty well. And if you ever need to take the painting off, it's super easy to do that. So I'm just going to go around. You don't want these rolls of tapes to be huge, okay? If they're really big, then they're a lot less effective. So just a couple inches wide. Having problems with the lighting. Okay. And then once you get the tape on there, then you're going to use those marks on your black paper, and you are going to essentially put your painting down against those marks. And once you kind of get it in place, then you can kind of push it down. And then you should have extra paper at the bottom. Okay, so you'll notice you'll have an inch here at the top, an inch at the sides, and then you'll have quite a bit of extra paper at the bottom. So that's the way it should look, okay? I'm going to do this for the vertical, so you guys can see what that looks like. So again, just a couple inches long of tape. Again, the longer the tape, the less effective it is. Just put the tape in the corners and in the middle of each edge. You don't want this tape to be sloppy either, because if it's sloppy and all bunched up, it's going to just cause your painting to kind of lift off of the black paper and possibly fall off. So you want the masking tape to be really nice and flat against the painting. Alright, and then after you're done, same thing. Just going to use those marks on the paper to line it up. Once it's lined up, then you can kind of push it down. And again, you should have extra paper at the bottom, quite a bit. Alright? So get to that point, and then I'll show you what's next. Alright, for the label, guys, you are going to need a ultrafine Sharpie marker to fill this out. Now, some of my kids like to actually write this out in pencil first, and then they'll ink back over it. So if you want to do that, that's fine. Just like everything else in art, it needs to be nice and neat. Presentation is so very important. It shows how much you care about your work. Okay, so if you have sloppy presentation, it just doesn't, it doesn't reflect upon your work very well. So, gotta be nice and neat. And you need to be grammatically correct. So, for artists, you're going to put your first and last name. Please make sure that you properly capitalize your first and last name. I don't care if you like to write in all caps, or you're one of those people who likes to write in all lowercase. We're going to do this the grammatically correct way. So make sure that you capitalize the first letter in your first name and capitalize the first letter in your last name. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and write that down. And again, use your nicest, neatest handwriting. Okay, I'm going to try to keep that up there at the top so those of you in the back can see. Okay. So for media refers to the materials that you use for the project or the piece that it's labeling. So we use watercolor paint. You want to make sure that you say watercolor paint, because there are watercolor pencils. Okay. There's watercolor ink. Okay. There's all these different kinds of watercolor media out there, if you want to be specific. Watercolor is also one word, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and write this. If you want to, you can wait till I write it down first. then you can copy. So watercolor paints. I'm going to skip the title for right now because that's going to be a little bit of a discussion. I'm going to go straight to class, okay? Class. Class is a name just like your name, okay? So you need to make sure that you capitalize it properly. You are in Drawing and Painting 2, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and write Drawing and Painting 2 on here, and we use the Roman numeral. So it's going to look like that. And then because you're not the only Drawing and Painting 2 class, we are going to add our class period, and you can put it right down here, right below there. I'm not going to go ahead and label a class period there since I do have more than one class. I don't want anybody to get confused about what period they're in. So if you're in 5th spell or 5th period, make sure you put P5 on it. If you're in 6th period, make sure you put P6 on it for period 6. Okay? Alright, so the next thing is about the title. Title, this is something you need to think about, okay? You need to, first of all, make sure that whatever title you come up with, it actually connects and is valid. So it means that it connects to the piece that it's referring to, okay? So, for example, we've got a still life here with draped fabric, a cup, and we've got a colored construction paper background on it. You are not going to title this Bunny Rabbits and Cotton Candy, because it has absolutely nothing to do with bunny rabbits or cotton candy. I don't know how you could explain your way into that connection, but it's impossible, okay? Does it have to have the word cup in it? No. Does it have to have the word fabric in it? No. Just think about what you think a creative title would be for it. As long as it connects, you're fine. I do not accept untitled as a title. I think that's kind of a way to kind of cheat out of the thinking of this. So do not put untitled on here, all right? Once you think of something, then go ahead and you can write it down, but again, make sure that you properly capitalize it, just like you would the title of a song, a book, whatever, a story, okay? You're going to properly capitalize it. So I'm going to go ahead and title mine Afternoon Tea, and you're not allowed to copy mine. You have to come up with something different, okay? So think about that for a minute. If you don't come up with one here, in 5 minutes, you're fine. You have till the end of the bell to fill it in, but I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that, and I'll show you how to attach it to the paper. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys now how to attach the label to your project. So again, some of you guys have vertical, some of you have horizontal, but either way it goes, you're going to attach your label at the bottom, center it. There's no need to get a ruler out. You can just kind of eye it in the middle. And you're going to place it about like right there. You want a little bit of space between the artwork and the label so we can see a little bit of the black paper there. And we are going to use rubber cement to actually attach this. Now for those of you who are not putting your painting on the black paper today, you probably want to just go ahead and, you probably won't do this step, and we'll just have you guys basically paperclip all your stuff together, and then you can attach everything later when you're ready to put it together. So as far as the rubber cement goes, I just kind of try to take off quite a bit of the glue off of it before I use the brush. Too much rubber cement just makes a mess. And then you're just going to, again, kind of center it, little bit of space in between the artwork and the label, and then that's where your label's going to go, okay? I'm going to go ahead and do this to the horizontal one. This is going to be harder for you guys to see just because it's really wide. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Now this one we have less room down at the bottom of the paper, just because of the size of the black paper that I was using. So we're just going to, again, center it. A little bit of space between the artwork and the label. just like that. Okay? All right. The next thing, and the last thing you're going to do to the actual project is you're going to sign it. Okay? Now, you always sign your artwork in the media that you use. So the media you used for this project was what? What's that say? Watercolor paint. So you have to sign it with the watercolor paint. I have up on my desk, at least I thought I did. Oh no, I have at the back of the desk, on the back desk, I have a cup full of really tiny brushes. These brushes right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick a very light wash of color to kind of paint in your signature, and you're going to paint your signature within the white border of your painting. So it's not, the signature is not going to be in the painting, it's going to be on the border. When you do this, and this is where some kids kind of mess up a bit, okay? This is worth 4 percentage points right here. So make sure you do this right. You want to make sure that your signature is nice and small. The reason why you want it small is because you don't want it to detract away from the painting. The painting is the star of the show. Your signature is just like kind of an afterthought, okay? It's about the painting, not your signature. So when you sign it, you can sign just with your initials if you want to. If you want to try to kind of paint your first name, last name, that's fine. It's just got to be really small. That's why I do recommend, if you're not sure what to do your initials. You're just going to paint your initials in the corner, really nice and small, and in a light color, and then you're ready to turn it in as far as the project goes. Then the last part is to fill out the evaluation sheet, which I'll go over here in a little bit. All right? So, guys can, for those of you who know you're turning it in, or you took your painting off the board, just go ahead and grab a bucket of water, your palette, and let's sign it. All right, so evaluation sheet. Every project that you guys do in here, you're going to have an evaluation sheet to fill. I'm going to kind of zoom in on this, okay? So I always ask that you fill this out with a pencil. Again, the reason why is I want this to look nice and neat, so that if you do make a mistake, you want to be able to fix it and make it look good, okay? Because remember, this is your thing that you're turning in, and you're asking me to give you a grade. So make a nice impression, okay? So up here, you're going to write your name, okay? Again, fill it in with pencil. Title, that's going to be the title of your painting. So make sure that you, again, even though this is an evaluation sheet, that you fill that out correctly and write it correctly. I will count off for capitalization again. And then write your class period there. I'm not going to put your class period there just because, again, I don't want to confuse my other class. All right, so basically what you have here is that you have, your project's going to be graded in like 5 different categories. So you've kind of got right here a title for each category and a description of what that category is evaluating. I strongly recommend that you read those, because it also is a great way. A lot of my kids use that as sort of like a check-off list. Like, did I do that? Do I need to go over and maybe do more? It's just kind of, in some ways, kind of jogs your memory and be like, oh, I forgot to do that part. I'm going to do it before I turn it in real quick thing, okay? So you're going to read each description, and you're going to evaluate yourself on a scale of basically 1 to 10. Okay, so 10 being the highest. So this category right here deals with proportions and accuracy. So look at your painting and ask yourself, did you do a good, how well do you feel like you achieved good proportions, and how accurate is it? Okay, so look at the cup, look at your fabric, does everything look three-dimensional, blah, blah, blah. If you think there's a couple areas that could have been better, maybe you give yourself a 9 out of 10. Maybe there's a few more. Maybe you give yourself an 8 out of 10, and so on and so forth. So you're going to go through and you're going to evaluate yourself on these 5 different categories on a scale of 1 to 10. You're going to put your sort of evaluation for yourself in these boxes where it says student. Here's presentation. This is all about how well you filled out the evaluation sheet, how good everything looks on the black paper, how well did you fill out your label, did you sign your painting in the lower right-hand corner, all that kind of stuff. So this is, I think, an easy place to get some good points right here. Evaluate yourself on all of those categories, and you're going to add it up. So let's say, I'm just going to make something up. Let's say this is what I gave myself. Got a 9 out of 10 here, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. So I basically took off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So down here, that would be 45, because it's out of a total of 50. It took off 5 points, so that makes it 45 out of 50. You're going to take that total score, times it by 2. That's the grade I gave myself, okay? I am going to go through, when you turn this in, I'm going to grade over here on the teacher side and come up with my grade. So you'll see side by side how they compare. All right? This evaluation sheet needs to get turned in with your project, okay? There's a turn-in folder over on the counter, so you're going to put your painting and the evaluation sheet on top, and you're going to put it in that folder for me to grade, okay? Those of you that are not taking your paintings off of the board today will need to hand me your evaluation sheets. And then when I'm grading them, I'll go find your painting on the dry rack. So that's how we're going to do it. All right? That's it.